the time has come to import the audio. We will import it, and then we will smell the bouquet like a fine wine. Wait, import it like a fine wine, and then smell the bouquet. Whatever, we're gonna start a Pro Tools session and then import the audio. Are you ready? Can't do that fancy pants kind of thing. So I'm going down to Pro Tools first, and we will watch this pop up. It will scan for plugins. It may take a while if you get some error messages. You might just need, like this. This is just because I had bought a plugin. I tried it out, and I didn't renew the license. Here we are. So in the intro screen here, the session setup dashboard, we have an option to create a new session from a template, which gives us a bunch of different options where there are pre-built tracks and sometimes pre-built electronic instruments, or we can deselect that and just create our own session from scratch. And that's what we're going to do. If you had been working in something else, you could go to the open session and create one that you had been working on. I'm going to call this Chevy dash empty bowls PSA. I like to get in the habit of putting your name in the session so that when you submit a project, I know whose it is. Otherwise, I'll just pick somebody at random and give them credit. Okay, then I go create. Oh, before I create, I want to double check to see whether it asks me where to save this. I don't see anything like that, so I'm going to hit create. Please set up your account. Do you want to appear in the results? No. Other users will be able to connect with you if you want them to email your address. Let's see what happens if I just click no or click close on this window. Hey, I think we're good to go. I'm going to be antisocial. All right, so here's the Pro Tools screen. Across here we have controls across the top. This is called the edit view because we're going to edit tracks here. So let's create a track. I'm going to go to track, new, and I'm just going to create one mono audio track. Mono means one source of audio, like one microphone. If I have stereo, like if I am importing music that has a left and a right track, I would need a stereo track. Okay, this is going to be an audio track as opposed to something like an auxiliary input, which is just going to take audio from other tracks in the session. Or your master fader, we'll build one of these soon. Or a MIDI track or an instrument track. Those are where you actually compose the music in the track and play it through some kind of virtual instrument or synthesizer. So for this, we're going to be working with audio. We want an audio track. And we're going to name it narration. I'm going to try to go quickly through this because I just want to give the overview of how this all works, and then you can slow down, watch parts, or or you can experiment, and then when you're done, you could move on to the next project or do something on your own. But it's important. I name the track narration. If I want to change that, I can double click, cancel. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is show you a little bit more about the screen just so you know what's going on. All right, so we have a track here. This is the input-output section, and I could decide where am I going to get my audio for this, either an interface like a microphone that's plugged in or from a bus where other tracks might be assigned to. Don't have to worry about that for right now. Then the output, I keep that on the built-in output 1 and 2. That means when I bounce this out, it's going to go to that wave file or MP3 that I finally bounced to at the very end. So I want that. Okay, volume, how loud is it? Pan, left or right? What is it going to come out of the left ear or come out of the right ear or both ears? Inserts, we'll get to these later. Okay, I want to show you just real quickly, there is a different view. It's the mix view. Oh, it was right here. Okay, this is the mix view. And this is like a big analog audio console, like you might see in a recording studio. As we add more tracks, you'll see more channels. Let's add another track so you can see. Add new track. And we'll go, I don't know. We'll call that edited narration. Maybe we'll do whatever. All right. So if I go back to the mix window, now I have 2 tracks here. And usually in the edit window, I'll call these tracks. And when I'm in the mix window, I often will call these channels because it looks like channels on an audio console where the audio flows in through the top, goes through, and then I can adjust how loud it's going to be when it comes out and goes into our master mix. So I can bring the volume up or down. And notice when I change the fader here, look over here and you'll see the volume changing over there. Or if I go over here, I can change it. All right, we have tracks. Over here are modes, so we can do different things. We'll look into those. Slip mode is where we'll keep it most of the time. And then we have, I'm not as familiar with Pro Tools First as I am with regular Pro Tools. So some of these controls, upload, download. But I do know these tools over here. We have a zoom tool, trim tool, selection tool, grabber tool, and pencil tool. We'll get to those. We have the time, and we can change that from bars and minutes. We want to change that to minutes and seconds because we're going to be working with a public service announcement. It's not bars and beats like in a music, in a song. This is going to be, we care about how many seconds are on the radio. Okay, start, stop, length of selections when we make selections. Then we have the transport controls. So these are stop, play, record, go back to the beginning, rewind, fast forward, go to the very end. Some music stuff that we won't get into right now. So first thing we want to do is import. It's like a fine imported wine. No, I'm just kidding. It's import like important. So assuming you've downloaded some audio that you want to report, import. I'm going to go to File, Import. I downloaded my downloaded audio right there. It's raw on my desktop. So I will just hit that, import it, process. And there it is. It came in as its own track. And it named the track based on the name of the audio file. So that's how you import audio. Just to show you real quickly what some of these tools do before we start playing. So this is the trim tool. I can trim my audio clips or bring it back. Remember, this is all non-destructive editing. I could go to the selection tool and select a whole section, hit my delete key, and then I could say, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. I could do Control Z if you're on a PC or Command Z to undo, and it's right there. I could also select it, hit delete, and then use the trim tool to bring it back. And then that's in the way, so I can go to the selector tool, double click, hit delete, go back to the trim tool, and bring it all back. Bring it back, bring it back. Just like that. Grabber tool. Hey, hands to yourself. Grabber tool. I don't even know. That was, you can use to move around. So if I'm in slip mode, I can move back and forth like this. If I go to shuffle mode, not so much. I can not really do that. Where shuffle mode comes in handy is if I go to the selector tool and I say, I don't want any of that, and then I just hit delete, it fills in the gap. That's what shuffle mode does. It shuffles it on over. But I'm going to Command Z, Control Z to undo that, and go back to slip mode. So I get tired of going back up to this tool panel. So there is the Smart tool. It's this little bar that goes across here. So now I can just drag it. let's try playing it. Oh, I should say with a smart tool, if I'm in the bottom half of a clip, it's the grabber. Top half, it's the selector. And if I'm near the edge, it's the trim. And that usually works, but if I have to do some close-up work where I'm going, I want to select just the end here, and it won't let me because it keeps going to a trim tool, then we'll just go to the trim tool or the selector tool. Okay, so I can click up in the timeline here and press the spacebar to play.
Them are your neighbors. This year, Marquette's Empty Bowls event will fight.
Looks like it's all playing.
Fundraiser this Friday at
Empty Bowls fundraiser this Friday.
Fundraiser this Friday at Mark.
All right, looks like we have the audio imported, and next it will be time to cut it like a nice flower and arrange it like a sweet smelling bouquet.